resting place and
Okay.
not a habitation kind of.
Right.
So
I think last
I
time you
think we
mentioned
did,
something
yeah,
about
I think we did.
the stones.
Yeah, they just found some when they did archaeology digs. They just found some like chipping
Stones instead of actual.
fragments
Yeah.
of
That would suggest
like they sharpened an arrow or something in that spot.
Okay.
So we don't know too much about other than what archaeologists have kind of pieced together from other studies in the area. So that's that'll probably cover that area. And then European settlement. We have copies of the early field notes from the very first surveyors who were here, and I think it's okay to share those. What we did in this document, I think, is to take their field notes, which, being written in 1836, are kind of in a different. I mean, their cursive looks different.
Okay.
And they call trees the names of trees that would have been right in the country they came from.
Okay.
But that's not what we call them. So, for example, I think they call basswood trees lime trees. Well, we don't have lime trees,
right.
but it's. I think that's one of the ones that just didn't transfer. So, what we did was we took their original survey notes and then interpreted them.
Okay.
So this is the way they wrote it. And this is what that meant.
Translating English into different English.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we had some students and myself worked on that.
Okay.
Actually, quite a few years ago. It's for me, it's fascinating to know that how big the trees were, and how. Do you know how the survey notes work?
Not really.
As they where's that page? Shows how they walked. So to cover a section of land, they would walk back and forth across it, measuring it and then marking each of the corners. Wow. So this is us right here.
Were they just kind of steps, or how would they measure the distance?
No, they had chains and rods.
Okay.
Which must have been. Must have been brutal work.
Yeah.
Carrying all of their stuff, their food, and these like what I imagine to be heavy chains, rods, links to measure different things.
Wow. And so, if you go back up, that map.
Back up to the thing.
This one. So this is the state part right here.
Yes, that's where we are, and the gray part, if I remember right, is what is covered in these survey notes that we have.
Okay. Is it 36 square miles in each square? Is it like a town?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Each one of these is a square mile.
Oh, that's a square mile, and then this is the 36 by 6. Yep. Okay, that's.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
to the township. That makes sense.
let's see. I guess one of the fascinating things for us is to have, when we found these, Lincoln Creek cuts through the property right here and keeps going. There is no creek at that time at all, and I think maybe we talked about that. Did we talk about that last time?
I don't know.
That there's no record of any creek on this land, and yet there is now, and that has been one of those evolving things to figure out how a creek came from nowhere. And I did come across a document a few years ago that called it like drainage ditch number 3 or something.
Okay.
And then eventually it became Lincoln Creek.
So do you think that was caused by the military when they purchased the land?
It could have been started in the farming time.
That's probably
To drain some of those areas that were like marginally wet, and well, let's make a ditch here to drain these fields, and because these are wetlands here.
Yeah.
And I think that this wetland is why Hopkins Street goes like this.
Okay. What's the reason for the curve?
What's the reason for the curve? It's because there was a wetland there. So yeah, that's all the survey notes, and I think
that map.
This is what they look like.
Okay.
This just like one page just to see.
Do they still have these documents somewhere?
Yeah.
Would that be the Historical Society?
No, we got these from the Wisconsin Historical Society in Madison.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Looked like a fun puzzle to have to put together.
Yeah. Really, it is.
How long did that take to do?
Oh, a couple of years, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple different people also worked on it. We had somebody who got it started who just had that interest in, somehow.
History.
The history, checking out that and trying to interpret and find documents that would give them the answers to their questions, like, what does that symbol mean? Okay. So, that would be the first piece of the puzzle that we have for European settlement. And then from the Havenwoods' first owners, we have copies of the original land patents.
Oh, wow.
That gave, that said the east half of the northwest quarter of Section 26 in Township 8 North.
They used to just they would take those square miles and then cut them off into quarters and then cut them off.
Yeah. You just keep chopping them up, right? So we know, for example, that this is our section.
Okay.
And Havenwoods is basically that triangle. We know that this section was. The original patents were issued to these people on these days.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. And these are to farmers then that were purchasing the land? Or?
For the most part, one of these guys, I think it's him, William Sherlock or whatever. He seemed to maybe be more of a land dealer that got the land and then either sold it to a farmer or I don't know. He doesn't show up anywhere later, so I'm thinking he didn't really buy it to farm it. He bought it for some other reason.
Okay.
But a good portion of the property was owned by the Zeltkes, and I think I mentioned last time that they're the ones that have done some research back into their family's history and know quite a bit about the family that lived here at the turn of the century.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you are interested in any of, I don't even know what these are. Oh, those are just in a different form. same information, PDF. Yeah.
Remember that.
So.
GIF.
Yeah, they're gifts.
This is great stuff. I think the final product might be kind of focused in on the last 100 years.
Okay. Well, we can zoom ahead to, let's see. I'm trying to think what we know about because the railroads cross over that time period of when the railroads went through.
Sure. Yeah, maybe starting there.
Let's see. It's been a little while since I looked at some of this stuff, so I'm trying to remember if these are. Oh, I guess these are photos from someplace. The Germantown Granville line.
That would have gone through Havenwood.
Oh yeah, Granville is familiar. That's what it was before.
Right.
Yeah, Haven.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thurston or...
Yeah, Thurston Woods.
Or Haven Woods, yeah. Next to a cornfield. I think these are just random pictures that I found of old railroads still used in a program one time, so maybe that's not going to help you. Yeah. We'll go to the county, Milwaukee County.
Okay.
These are some photos from the Historical Society that I cannot give you, but you can go there to get, of the House of Correction being built.
And this is just at the Milwaukee County Historical Society?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the one on, is it Kinnickinnick?
Oh, it's somewhere right down in there.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah. This is that, that in many places 3-story high prison building that's set on the land. This rounded thing is a bathhouse.
Okay.
I know that for sure.
These pictures are great.
Here's the cell blocks being built.
Yeah.
So these are from 1914.
Mm-hmm.
Even the clothes are great, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Time to the time.
And a dog. Just kind of walking by.
And that's being built there.
This is also when the prison is being built, right? Mm-hmm.
So this is the
I'm assuming these are the cell blocks being put up.
Okay.
This is the front, I believe, of that administration building.
And this would have been on the east side of the parking lot?
No, pretty much right where we are, actually.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The front of this building, well, you're pretty close. The front of this building would have been on the east side of the parking lot.
Okay.
So then the prison would have, buildings would have been here. And this is the exercise yard in the middle, the kind of probably the walkway where the guards would have kept an eye on the prisoners down in the exercise yard. This is the architectural drawing.
Okay.
This is not necessarily all true. This was probably drawn like maybe early in the planning phases of the prison, and not everything got built the same way, but it's still kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things did get built a lot of these, maybe they ran out of budget, but they didn't. Like they didn't build all of these cell blocks right away, and then they added some later, but I don't know that this building ever got built.
Things always change.
And
what about those?
There was only one house. There were 2 houses.
And what was that for?
That was for the warden.
The warden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This one was never built. I have no idea what that is. Some random house over there. But a lot more buildings got built this direction.
Okay.
That are
And
not
is that
something.
so? This direction would be Thurston Woods. Is that right? Or is it?
No.
In what way would it look?
This is the front of the building that would have faced east, and so that the buildings would have been built towards the west.
Oh, okay.
In that direction.
Okay.
And this I don't remember where I got it, but so,
Okay.
Is that it? Okay. That one, if you want it. Do you want that?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Take anything that you can give us.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know what that is. Oh, we have some like atlases and things like that from.
Oh, nice.
This is from 1926. So, and
That's the railroad.
these are available. There's that Hopkins Street going crazy angle because it was wet there. These are at the.
This is back when North Milwaukee was a city.
Yes.
Outside of Milwaukee.
Right, a separate city. And this is when McGovern Park was, we think, part of the House of Correction.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't a park yet. These maps are at Central Library in the map room, if I remember right. So, you could go farther that way and see what it looked like in 1926 also. Because obviously I just cared about here, so I didn't go that direction so much.
Yeah, I think I've seen the where you can find these in the library.
Yeah, that map room is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, this shows. Is this the one that shows the road that was never built? Yeah, this was never built, right?
Fond du Lac?
Fond du Lac doesn't keep going.
I'm not sure, but
I-
where would Highway 43 be?
Way over here.
It's way over that way.
Yeah. So we're right here.
Okay.
And actually this map is way off because Hopkins does not go
That far.
far into there, but
Interesting.
that's the reality of maps. Oh, that's the same one, just a little bit different. I just took digital photos of these maps when I was there. This is from 1931.
Okay. Yeah, there you can see the House of Correction and early development of the name.
And McGovern is now called Silver Spring Park. It has separated from the House of Correction land. Is Smith Park still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
South of Silver Spring.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, you have to let me know if you want any of those, or if you want to go, get them yourself and get a bigger picture of what's
Yeah, I think we'll be on UWM. I mean, we'll be at UWM for the rest of the week. Right there at the map room.
Yeah. And some of this stuff is online now too. These old maps.
Yeah, we can take a look at that. And if
Hi. Yeah, let me get you somebody to let you do that. So yeah, but knowing that they're available is, and what years to go for is a good thing to do.
you said that's at the Central Library.
I think that's where I went, to the Central Library.
I've seen maps, big booklets of maps. And
This is kind of interesting. This is a 1940 auto tour of the area, and you should try to find this too. And unfortunately, I don't know where it's from. I found it in just a random folder one time, but it talks about, like 1940, like it's today, and describes McGovern Park, and describes the House of Correction and all the buildings, and just kind of cool.
Yeah.
Brown Deer Park, and it went. This is page 626 to 629.
How does that,
it's a big book,
The source is unknown.
Yeah.
How
do we know the pages?
Yeah, how would you know the pages?
Because what I found was like a bad copy of a page, and the page numbers were at the bottom of the page.
Okay.
But I couldn't scan it. It was just such a bad copy of not even a bit mimeographed. I don't know. It was such a bad copy that I couldn't digitalize it. So someone typed it.
Okay. Yeah, if we could we take this? Could we have a copy of that? That'd be awesome.
Let's see. Oh, here are some of those inspectors' reports that I think I was talking to you about.
Where they talk about the number of canning booths and
the number of prisons and how much it costs to operate it, and $11.75 per week per inmate to to keep a prisoner at the time, and so they're just kind of one-page reports that. Oh, and here's this thing. the contract with the United States of America, Department of Justice and Immigration, leasing part of the institution known as the Women's Quarters for $500 a month. That is the internment of the German Americans.
Really?
Yeah.
Could we have a copy of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Department of Justice and Immigration Service leased part of the House of Corrections in order to keep those prisoners, quote unquote, here.
And that was in December 30th, 41.
December 30th of 41. So
that would have been right after the U.S. entered World War II.
Right after Pearl Harbor.
Like 3 weeks or so. Yeah, 2 weeks after.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's an amazing, amazing connection.
Amazing piece of history that people don't necessarily
right.
understand.
And let's see if I can find or maybe I have that under something different. Oh, here, German American internment. I have the story.
Do you have any of the? You had mentioned last time on the newspaper that was being created, either at the prison.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that, I'm sure.
Yeah, awesome.
This is the story that I read related to that Traces website that we talked about. Mm-hmm. This is the story of Peter Grice, or I think it was pronounced Grice because it's German, so you pronounce the second.
That's.
And it's his story, and this is one of the ones where, it just started to dawn on me that it was Haven Woods. Mm-hmm. But if you read through this, you'll probably find out where it says. I don't remember exactly where it is right now in the story, but
we can look
that's
that
pretty cool.
Yeah, that is.
It's that just another one of those pieces of the puzzle that's like, oh my gosh. Well, this is a map of where the German aliens were taken into custody. So 620 of them, and I think.
Where did you find this picture, this image?
I don't remember.
That's okay. That's fine.
I don't remember.
I mean, if you look at Milwaukee compared to the rest of the Midwest, the number, is outstanding.
Right, and this area was heavily populated in Germans. So, yeah, you want that?
Yeah, absolutely, that would be great.
Let's see, what else is in this German American thing? This might be a newspaper article that.
I wonder if the
from the Times.
The library would have newspapers. We must have on microfilm. What's that area called? The old newspaper articles in the public library. You can go through the microfilm and
stacks or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. Some of the stuff I found on the internet, I think, searching for German American internment, like this list of people published on the front page. These are the people published on the front page of the Milwaukee Journal. That
were just taken.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like a lot of Milwaukee Journal from September of 1943. I'm pretty sure I found this on the internet.
Okay.
So, if you, I don't feel too bad about sharing that because you could probably find it on the internet too. And save you some time.
List of the names of the people.
List of the names of the people. That's just amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see. Some of this is just the same stuff in different format, like a JPEG versus a because we needed it in different formats. I'm not sure about this though. Oh, this was interesting because it, brought up that idea that we hear a lot about Japanese
Internment on the West
American
Coast.
internment, but you just don't hear that. You just don't hear about German Americans being interned at the same time. So, where's that from? University of Dayton Quarterly, the nation's leading university tabloid. I'm sure I found this on the internet too.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Let's see anything else. Oh, this.
He's German.
So if I remember right, this is the thing that gave the authority to
It's President of the United States.
withhold or to, keep these people in prison. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I can't remember who was Franklin Roosevelt. Yeah. So, you want that?
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. I think that's different.
The trail on the surface of it, and apparently she's an architect and she's
This is
a
from.
planner. She wants to show to somebody else a possibility of a bridge. So I would stand at the edge of the bridge and kind of look down
Okay,
and just
I
get
know.
off.
I'm not exactly sure. I don't really remember what this is. I think maybe it's just a statement of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
but maybe a timeline. There's a little timeline there too.
And she said that somewhere,
Sure.
Hello.
somewhere at the end of the bridge, somewhere there's going to be
Alrighty, so let's get out of that. Go back to the county house correction. The newspaper is affected rumor.
Okay.
So this is
Wow.
cool to me. This
Yeah.
is cool
It's
to
very
me
cool.
because my grandfather was a pastor and he did the Sunday bulletins. And as a child, I used these. These were stencils that you traced around to make these letters.
Really? You
Yeah.
remember seeing those?
I did it.
Really?
Yeah, as a kid, he would let me do this on the bulletin covers, trace around these things, and then this was like a texture plate that you rubbed over to get the texture to show up on the letters. And now we just like pull out Illustrator or something and do whatever we want, and it's just so amazing to remember that it wasn't that long ago that we were doing all of this by hand. So anyway, this is the newspaper that the prisoners wrote
Okay.
for the County House of Correction. And, there's articles that they wrote. And there are, let's see, I think, maybe it might be in the other one that there's reports from each of the different sections, which is kind of interesting.
Isn't that stuff amazing?
It's really interesting, isn't it? It's incredible.
I mean, what always blows my mind is we are sitting right on top of the space where so much stuff happened, and without somebody keeping records long ago, we'd have no clue what was
Yeah,
here before.
we'd all be forgotten.
And before them, who knows? Well, I mean, before all the stuff that we know, what walked over this land.
Right.
I've gotten so much better in appreciation for history just by seeing all of this, and how this place actually even figured into world history just blows my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a small piece of it, but
It's a
when,
rich,
when I
rich
tell
background.
audiences, I always include a lot of this stuff because they also say, I can't believe it's all in out of Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
You got a fun piece of land to work with.
Yeah.
Fun is probably not the word they would have used back then, but you know.
Yeah,
Interesting.
No, very
anyway.
interesting.
Here's that thing that says how many gallons of stuff that they harvested and preserved for use both to feed the prisoners and also to feed like other county institutions.
Okay.
At the time, you know, there would have been an orphanage and there would have been probably elderly or senior kinds of things too, you know. So but you know, 709 gallons of pickles, pickled. I can't even say pickled peppers, but yeah, 172 gallons of rhubarb. That is a lot of rhubarb.
There's sauerkraut on there too.
Oh, I'm sure. 20 barrels, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1,100 gallons of ketchup.
Oh, it's Judy.
That is incredible. Little humor section
Let me
and
get some other basics from you. How old is
Thanksgiving
So-
in prison.
Thanksgiving in prison. What's that say? Ant? I don't even know what that says. So yeah, pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, little trivia quiz there. Oh, they had a radio too, I believe. So keep track of who was going to be on. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
And I think that might be. I think I only have one.
That's fine.
one
That's
of those.
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
An example of something.
Yeah. So let's see. We already did the auto tour. These are some of those newspaper articles from 1945 when the Army was going to take over the House of Correction. Someplace it's described as being seized by the federal government.
Really?
I think some people looked at it positively because here was this, you know, kind of sort of becoming a white elephant of a prison or a House of Correction. And some people looked at it as, well, if the federal government can seize this, then they can seize anything, you know. So there was definitely different takes on how that came about. So these, I'm guessing, these are all those articles.
But let me just make sure first that
Pretty sure.
we have spaces open that right now for group of 40, I
let's
would have
see.
the afternoon
What's
of July
this?
23 and the afternoon of
Oh,
July
you should probably get a hold of this
25.
book, huh? Trading Post to Metropolis, if you haven't read that yet.
Okay.
Milwaukee County's first 150
I
years,
don't
and this is
see
a section
any
in there that had to do
warnings
with the House of
open,
Correction.
Until August sometime.
Okay.
I actually have the name of the book,
Let's see.
which means I probably found the book rather than just finding a copy of it sitting in a folder somewhere.
And
Yeah.
on the 25th, it would be 12. Right?
But it would, you know, it was a pretty cool book. I think I read quite a bit of it, but I just got the part that's for here.
We
So,
we have a couple of main programs.
do you want that, or do you think you'll just
when
get the book?
kids get in their groups, we divide them by age. so that-
We'll take that. It seems like a nice.
If
Okay.
yeah, if you've already looked at the book and you found a snippet on the area we're concentrating on, that would
Yeah,
maybe just
okay.
save some time. As far
All
as-
right.
Animals that live in the city, where their homes
I don't know what this
are,
is.
what they eat.
Oh, another map.
Signs that they leave behind them, like their droppings,
Yeah.
which we don't touch.
Maybe once
we
they're
look
up here
at.
now.
Yeah.
Footprints, if there's been enough rain to make footprints. And at the end of the program, they come in and they
These things are just
meet
dying
close up
all
a
over
couple
that
of
place.
animals. Usually it's a turtle, a snake, and a toad.
I don't know if anybody's doing anything on McGovern Park, but this was kind of interesting because I think this is the one that says that right after the war, people parked their trailers at McGovern Park
learning about their adaptations
and were
how they
allowed to
move,
live there.
how they
Is that
eat,
this
what
one?
they eat, their colors, things like that. I will tell you that
Oh no, I guess it's just when
I think that would be hard.
there
for
is a weird
foreign
story though
farmers
about
to do.
people parking their trailers in McGovern Park. But that doesn't look like that's it.
Scoop in the water.
It's just a history of the place.
With nets for the different
This
kinds
is
of
from the
insects
Milwaukee historical society, which I can't give you, but this is the guy who was the
So the most of these would be known insects. And,
what's that called? I just said it a few minutes ago. The prisoner,
Oh, the warden?
Warden, thank you. He was the warden for a long time, and actually the House of Correction was called
there's another
the Momsen,
program that is new.
Hotel Momsen.
And,
That
Okay.
the prisoners kind of called it that, I think. Mhm.
Because he was there forever.
Yeah.
that would be
yeah.
involved in, as a group.
And this is a picture of the staff of the prison, which is from the Milwaukee County Historical Society, and I cannot share with you, but I just love the hats and the
Mustaches.
just everything. It's just so cool
nice.
to look at.
With the older kids, they would be
Yeah,
using
the bow
GPS
ties,
units,
some vests, and
to find geocaches.
yeah, just the variety.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
those are the
so
four
let's see,
things that we
Nottingham.
have. And again, because of the 4 and 5-year-olds.
So the Not Haven Woods specific is just like general research kind of stuff I've done, which it doesn't have anything to do with Milwaukee or anything, but maybe, you know, connects to something in some way. Like I was really getting into the silos one year that we have and trying to figure out what kind of silos what they were made out of when we were there. So I have a whole, whole thing on silos. But
Awesome.
no definite conclusions there. Just I've got a theory. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the when the Army took over in 1945.
Okay.
Let's see; those are some of the same articles, just repeated. Here's the newspaper that the Army prisoners put together. Now you can see the amazing improvements in graphic design and layout that they were able to accomplish just a few years later.
Yep. And we realize that some of the kids, though,
There's the front
this is
here,
not hardcore
building.
learning. We try to make it fun.
Baseball was an important part of, I think, what they did.
Oh,
It
yeah.
shows
Okay,
up
so they used it for
several
those
places,
Okay.
just to pass the time. But they're still using these stencils. These are the same stencils that were traced around with a stylus
Okay.
onto the
With the mapping the geocaching?
mimeograph thing. I can't remember what that was called. But the
Yeah,
stencil
yeah.
that you put on the mimeograph,
That would be good.
you had to cut the holes in the stencil so that the ink could go through and make the letters.
Okay.
And so these were done with the little stencils to make that happen, which is just kind of cool.
So you did that. You had the stencils as a kid.
I
From
still
your
have them.
you still
Yes,
have
I
them?
got them from my grandfather.
Really?
Yeah, right. And it's like,
That's-
what does everybody want from the settlements? Like the stencils. No one else really cared about them. I don't understand why. But these are all mostly articles that they wrote. Some of them do appear to be reprints from other places, but yeah, they're it's kind of just interesting. Original crosswords. Oh. And then these are the reports from each of the dormitories or cell blocks. Like, this is your F dorm reporter with all the back fence dirt, and then blah 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 blah. They would tell their little report. Hospital report. Batting averages of the players.
The baseball team. This is in the 40s? 40s or 50s?
49.
49.
1949.
Okay.
Yeah. I blacked out the names of the people that probably, this was probably the prisoner, and it was sent to his family in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
I thought he already served his time, probably. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool, and I
That's very
can
cool.
share that with you because
Yeah,
I bought it on eBay, so hey, it's mine. Let's see. These are just some more like plat map kinds of things, which are from that same map room.
Mhm.
So.
It's interesting that it just said City of Milwaukee for the the area that we're in.
Oh, I know, and it wasn't
Instead of
U.S. government, right?
not
Yeah.
not making that clear.
Right.
It's almost like
It's almost like it was
hidden.
Yes. Yeah. I've felt the same thing looking at that.
Mhm.
Here's that Hopkins Street history story that I was telling you guys
Okay.
about, the party in the street.
Mhm.
This is all it is, but it's from the
Celebration.
book The History of Brown Deer.
Traffic for the celebration. Celebration of paving the street.
Isn't that great?
It's probably some like community
Dirt no more.
Yeah. Activists that are pushing for this for a while. That's awesome.
Music, dancing, and refreshments. So,
That's cool.
yeah. If you want that,
Sure. Yeah.
you can share that maybe
Whatever
with
you- yeah,
people
whatever you-
doing the. Let's see. What's this? Oh, that's an aerial from 1950.
So that's when it was under construction.
Oh, it could be. Yeah.
Or
It's
brand new.
It's pretty white, so it's
Mhm.
probably under construction. Yeah.
Wow. Look at how the streets.
Well, this is probably Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Monrovia? Is that probably or not?
Or is it?
Or no? Is that Florist?
That's Florist.
Mhm.
Yep.
This is probably. Well, here is Monrovia. Yeah, that's probably Florist because that's Silver Spring
Mm-hmm.
and that's Mill. Nope, that's Woolworth.
Interesting.
No, that's the railroad, isn't it? That's the railroad, and this is
I think you're right.
Walworth, and so Mill must be up here a little farther. Yeah,
We've only really been between the two
But-
places.
but Sherman is not here yet.
Mm-hmm.
It will go right through here and
Oh, yeah.
keep going south.
Mm-hmm.
And the cloverleaf isn't here. It comes right in here.
You said this is from 1950?
1950, yeah. And this is from, actually I think this one is available online, so
Okay.
I could probably just give that one to you. I think it's from Farm Services. When you look at it, although I might have cleaned this one up. When you look at the original,
Mm-hmm.
there's numbers and things on it that classified the fields as farm fields versus whatever other fields they were. So it was from, I'm pretty sure it was from Farm Services.
Okay.
Let's see. I do not know what this is. Oh, these are those pictures that are online?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we've seen these.
Yeah,
a
you've
few
seen.
of
Yeah,
these.
okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're available pretty well
Excuse
there.
me.
This is from a book, Stolic, Wisconsin, that talks about POWs in Wisconsin and mentions very briefly this place.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Don't remember if I highlighted or not. Oh, this would be the prisoners that were here. The report that kids fishing in the McGovern Park Pond, and prisoner of war escaped and
Mm-hmm.
were going through, and this one too is prisoners escaped from the disciplinary barracks and hospital, which was here.
Wow.
My father walked over to the compound to visit with the German-speaking prisoners. You know, there were Germans all around in this
Mhm.
area, and they spoke German just like the prisoners did. So I think we've had other people who have told us that same story too, that, you know, they made friends with the POWs because they spoke the same language and through the
Identified with them more.
yeah. So do you want that?
Sure.
Mhm.
It saves you the time of reading a 200-page book.
No, that's we. We got.
Let's see.
The more information, the better for
Mhm.
the project.
These are. Ooh, boy, I don't know if I can. Hey, Judy. You know those blueprints that we got from the Army? The disciplinary barrack blueprints?
You mean the white prints?
Well,
Are they
they're.
blue?
No, they weren't blue, but.
Okay.
Are any blueprints blue?
Are you talking about the one that shows the diagram of the whole site?
Yeah, that shows where the buildings were and shows where the tunnels were.
Yeah.
Do you think we can share those? Do you think that?
Government.
Yeah.
It's declassified. I just gave it to somebody a week ago.
Oh, well, that answers
go.
that question. Do you want it in a PDF or
You're
a
the one who
TIFF?
told me it. I think you're the one who told me it was for use.
Well, good. Let's share them then. Do you want PDFs or do you want TIFFs?
So, what do you think? PDFs?
PDFs are good. Yeah.
Probably okay.
All
yeah.
right.
No, seriously.
Well, if you guys find out that like you can't use it, just let us know.
No,
we won't use any of it.
if it's government
Yeah,
That's,
it's
and it's declassified,
yeah. I
don't
mean, that's
see why
how we
couldn't-
got it
Public
because it
records.
was it was public records. I'm sure that's why we got it.
And
Yeah.
everything else was lost in the flood, right? In Omaha, or was it a fire?
Oh,
At one point, when she was looking for
Yeah.
stuff, she was told that there was either a flood or a fire in Omaha or some
Yeah.
place where the records were kept, and everything else was gone.
and I'm thinking
Right.
that must be the records that talked about the German internment and the POWs and
yep.
the.
The fire.
What
Yeah, someone threw it in
records?
there.
What records exactly are we talking about here?
Wow.
Okay, so we've gone through that. Let's go to the Nike era.
Okay.
Let's see. So we have, and that's the same thing as before. Some things I've got in more than one place just because,
Mhm.
you know, if somebody wants to just know about Nike stuff, I can just go to one spot and get all that. Okay, this is a newspaper article about them being abandoned in '63. When you read these articles, keep in mind there were 8 sites around Milwaukee, and so some of the articles might not apply to this site. I think that's all the articles. And then what else is there?
Good afternoon, even if this is Judy. Hi.
You have images of. Okay. Oh, some of the spots.
Yeah, this is what it,
About the manufacturer?
where the buildings were and stuff.
No.
Pretty much
Okay,
it was
Let
all
me give you the phone. direct
these
phone
buildings
number of
here
that
and then
person,
the buildings
can ask
inside
her.
this fence here.
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully she's there.
The
Her
only
name's
thing that's
Teresa.
left are these 2
I don't think
earthen
she's there.
berms. The Nike, the magazines, which were all underground,
263,
that's been collapsed down into the ground and
69.
covered with soil, packed down, and planted in prairie grasses. So right now this is
Okay,
just a flat
and
field
If she's
where the
not,
magazines used to be.
um,
The berms are still there. Some of these sidewalks are
give
still
up,
there.
Give up if
Mhm.
she's not in. And you don't see it on
And
the manager.
the other thing that you can do
on one
is
end of the
walk
bridge,
the entire
on the end of the
perimeter, because when they came in and pulled
I
out
don't know what to say.
the fence posts,
Okay,
they
thank you.
just must have taken a big piece of equipment and just yanked the post and brought the concrete footings out with the post, and it must have just left a huge hole, because now, and that was done in, it was probably done in '74. So we're talking almost 40 years later, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can still see the holes. So you can walk the entire perimeter just by going from one hole to the next, all the way around. So you can walk all the way around.
Where
the
is
edge.
this located right now, as far as
On the property?
on the property? Yeah.
Pretty much
Just
just
due
west of us.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah.
We could, check that out. Take some photos and maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the earthen berms were there because the missiles came to the Nike installation unassembled.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of that, from what I've read, it seems that part of it was because they're 35 feet long, and would have been hard. you know?
Yeah.
And also, they kind of were keeping these little secrets. So,
Yeah,
you'd go
see a giant
driving down the
missile
road.
down the highway, down a
right.
street nearby. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's going
I think
on?
it would have been a little bit of a clue that there was something going on back there.
Are there any other sites that have been covered up? I mean, that you can tell that this was
It was
for
a
different use
Nike
at one time. I mean, even prior to the Nike missile silos, going back to the POW camp and the internment camp.
Other sites than Havenwoods?
In Havenwoods, yeah, that you noticed that there's still remnants that's been covered up, or was it one time?
Well, you said you did at least parts of that trek through time. Those are most of the ones that I've uncovered as being
the silos,
the silos, the flagpoles, and things like that. Yes, there are some like other sidewalk kind of places that are just like sidewalk in the middle of the forest. Yeah. And there's also the old sewer systems. There are still manhole in many places too. So yeah. Let me see what they go and just do something.
I'm thinking of like an interesting story might be like this coming up the street. It's a new park now. The use of the space is completely different than it was back then. She gives educational tours of natural habitats in Milwaukee.
It's I'm guessing that it's at the end.
Should move to like a quieter room and have like a little mini interview after this to try to get
some questions of
the sentences out, like full sentences. Instead of like just
I agree.
So yeah, we can go back to like kind of like a summary of this to this to that.
I think we should talk about
covered up
what she does now, what it's used for, cover this whole spans. Yeah. Her job, educational purpose,
her
children
kind of
using
uncovering this too.
Yeah.
She was in charge of,
I think that's, we have to get that. What's the battery on that guy? Okay.
better stop.
There are more of these at the Historical Society that I just took a
No
few,
problem.
had to ask them to make copies of a few of them so we would have them.
Have more record.
Yeah. So this is the front of the building here. And these are those bathhouses, these circular bathhouses.
And this is the exercise yard, or the
exercise yard in the middle, and there's the guards walkway, along the top of the cell blocks.
Do we know what was the year that it was built?
1914 was when construction started. It opened in 1917.
Okay.
So I don't know. Are there dates on the plans? I mean, they could be earlier. The dates on the plans could be earlier than that. Isn't this cool?
That's I mean, even it's designed a certain way.
Yeah. I should let one page roll towards me. So let's see. I think these are the different floors.
This would be the
So this is skylight. So this must be the top.
Yeah, this is the second floor.
Oh, okay.
First floor. The basement.
So here's the showers with a barber shop in the middle and dressing rooms all the way around.
Wow.
I don't know. I thought around bathhouse was pretty cool.
That's interesting on the other side too.
Same thing on the other side. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So some of these were more secure than others. Like this side is actual cell blocks, but this side is dormitories.
Okay.
So most of the prisoners actually that stayed here were prohibition prisoners.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Guys that are
from the records that we see, most of them had a pretty short stay.
Yeah.
And they were here because of prohibition. But they had their own bakery. They had their own milk room, cheese room, butter room, meat cutting, scraps. Who knows what that was? Vegetable room, meat room.
Interesting.
And the whole dining room.
Yeah.
An oven. Look how huge that is.
Circle oven.
Yeah, you wonder
cool.
how that even worked, a round oven.
Who worked there? You know, prisoners had shifts, so
Yeah.
people were paid, or
Yeah.
oh, this is the.
Okay, so we're back at the first floor again. So are these lights? Is that what? Do you think these are lights
what is
or
it?
posts? Maybe.
It might be the
Posts?
like a column grid. It's all in line, most of it at least. I'm not sure exactly what it would be.
Ceiling heights.
Figures in circles show ceiling heights.
12 foot, that might be those circles. 16-foot ceilings here.
Okay.
But this is probably the column grid line. I'm thinking.
I don't know, because they're over in the center here.
Yeah.
It could be lights. You might be right. It could be lights. That would make sense, because you'd have down a corridor, you'd have one row of lights.
Yeah. And the pictures that they show of like the cell
think-
blocks.
These are the column grids. These
yeah.
those circles that are filled in, that would be the columns.
Mm-hmm.
But those are probably lights.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Reflected ceiling plan, I'm guessing, for this one.
Oh, here it says showing electric light and VCO. There could have been more after that.
VCO.
But like I say, correction is cut off too, so
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much.
I think there's one more.
Yeah, right.
Oh, the reflected ceiling plan of the other level.
Basement.
Tunnel.
Oh, there were lots of tunnels here.
Yeah.
There still are tunnels here, which we try to keep sealed off, but every now and then kids figure out how to get down in there, which is
Really?
bad because there's not good things in there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, they have manholes down into them. These tunnels are probably gone, but there's a tunnel that goes the length of the property that is still there.
Okay. And that would have been constructed by the, you think in the 70s?
We think constructed in the when the Army took over. That's what we think.
Okay.
We can't figure out. It apparently carried the steam heat to the south end of the property. We can't really rationalize any reason for them needing steam heat down there when it was used as a farm.
Mm-hmm.
So, and reports are that they used those that underground tunnel to transport prisoners from one part of the property to another. And that doesn't really make sense in terms of the House of Correction either, because prisoners were out there in the fields working all the time. Why get obsessive about moving them in an underground tunnel from one end of the property to the other when they're out working in the field all the time?
Mm-hmm.
So that just doesn't. We can't come up with any logical reason why it would have been built when it was a House of Correction. And it also changed the way of the lay of the land, and the aerial views don't show that kind of shadow caused by the hill that had to be built to bury this tunnel until after the Army is here. So I think the Army put it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
So
Bomb shelter or something. Okay. Well, yeah. If you have a few minutes, we'd love to talk to you about, just like what you do here on a daily basis, the educational programs for students, just kind of
Can you get that
yeah.
together in there? Lined up? There we go. Good. Oh, yeah, I think it was in there too.
Yeah, it could be that. You're saying that tunnel went all the way from up here, all the way down here.
Yeah, this is it. It's under the road.
Yeah.
So, it actually left from this building.
Mm-hmm.
It went under the ground to connect to these buildings. But there was also a spur, and this could be it right here, that went over to here, and then all the way down to here. And then there's a spur that went this direction to the, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Went this direction to the warden's house. So, all the way down there, and this is the steam tunnel too. And it ended right there. This part is gone now, but this part is also, and these parts are gone, but this part is still here.
Is that the trail that you walked down?
Yeah, that's the limestone road.
Yeah.
Yep.
That tunnel's still in there.
Walking on top of the tunnel, and we're just thinking, someday. Actually, I don't want this in there. I'm surprised to find it in there. Someday, the concrete. Concrete doesn't last forever. I mean, it might be really thick, but it's not going to last forever. So,
Well,
okay,
I think
we can set right here.
We get the best audio.
Better than, it's a little.
A
few distractions out there.
No, that's good though. It's good to have those sound bites that really shows that we're here.
So I think what we need is just like an introduction, like hello, my name is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then what your job is here, what you do, educational programs. Just talk about if you take us through like a day, what's a typical day like for you? There's no typical day, which is great. That's perfect. Awesome.
Well, my name is Beth Mittermaier, and I have worked here since 1983. And as I mentioned before, I want to make perfectly clear now that we're actually recording that while I have worked here the longest, I am not the oldest person, right?
That's
so,
right.
yeah, we want to be sure that's on tape.
We will include that.
When I first started working here, do you want me to tell that story again about coming here?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I needed a job. I had moved to Wisconsin and saw an ad in the newspaper for a naturalist position at a state forest, and I thought, whoa, that would be way cool to be a naturalist at a state forest. And so I called and got an interview and was given the directions to the location, and drove in my little car and actually was supposed to meet the person that was going to interview me over in the Schenecker Park parking lot, which you might have been in. It's kind of just a big gravel parking lot, and I was thinking, where's the forest and where's the building and where's the everything? And the person who interviewed me asked me to get in his truck and we'd drive around, and we drove around, and there were old roadways and old parking lots, and there were hardly any trees, and and during the course of the interview, he asked me about experience and stuff, and at the end he said, so what kinds of educational programs do you think that you could run here at the state forest? And I said, and these are the exact words, I said, I have absolutely no idea, because I was at the time, just shocked. And something worked because I was hired, or either that or the other applicants were really bad. So the first 3 or 4 years, I did do education programs out of the back of my car. Programs for schools and programs for daycare centers in the summer and things like that. We used the Shenaker Park bathrooms if the kids needed to go to the bathroom, and if it was storming, we canceled because there was nowhere to go. And we planted thousands and thousands of trees with kids.
Kids from Thurston Woods or from the school?
Kids from whoever came.
But
it included kids from Thurston Woods School, and also the Florist Avenue Lutheran Church Bible School used to come during the summer, and I did programs with their Bible school too.
So a lot of the trees you see here now is a tribute to those original plantings?
There is a mix. There are parts of the property more on this northeast corner where more of our programming has happened, where a larger number of the trees that are here were planted.
Okay.
And anytime you see things like oaks or maples, or basswood, or some of the, and also a lot of variety of shrubs in this part of the property, you can pretty much guess that they were planted, mostly by kids. And we talked about the survival rate and that it's more of a product, process than product, especially when they get planted upside down. But so
learning process.
It was a learning process, right? For the kids to be involved in those planting programs is really important because it gives them a sense of ownership over this place too, because now they've put some time and effort into what's happening here. We worked with 4-H groups too, some of the local 4-H and Scout troops, and Carlton School, which I'm not sure if that's officially in Thurston Woods, but it's right down on the corner.
Okay.
But your question about planted trees versus natural reforestation.
Regrowth, yeah.
There's also a lot of that going on.
Okay.
And especially more in the north and western parts of the property where we haven't gone with kids as much and done as extensive a planting.
Is that controlled by you guys as far as like monitoring what exactly is grown? Invasive versus non-invasive species?
We do what we can with a small staff. We try to manage against invasive species and do as much invasive removal as we can with the help of volunteers and the help of Friends of Haven Woods and staff volunteers and youth organizations, like over the years things like the YCC, Youth Conservation Corps, which used to be a big thing. They spent a lot of time here working on invasives. And we also, have a hand in what gets planted, trying to make very sure that what we do plant is a native prairie flower or tree or shrub or whatever, so that trying to it's one of the big challenges of working with an area that has such a history of land use, and it'd be real easy to say in that sentence, land abuse. We like to think that there are very few places on this property that have not been farmed, bulldozed, grazed, built upon, either buildings or parking lots or roads. When you start to look at where all that activity happened, it's real easy to pinpoint the few places where the land has not been overused, at least, if not more than that.
Did you know the previous uses of the land before you got the job? Or
at the interview, the then superintendent described some of that use. I mean, as we drove around and saw these abandoned parking lots and roadways that went to nowhere, he was sharing some of the uses that had come before. And that's just a real challenge. disturbed land is ripe land for invasive species, and it's almost all disturbed land. At one point we were doing soil studies with kids that came here, with some high school groups that came, and we were, I don't know if you've ever done a soil class, but you dig a pit and you look at the soil profile. You're supposed to have that nice brown topsoil on top and that subsoil underneath, and then way down there, like the clay rock kind of stuff. And we started digging holes, and there was no soil profile.
Really?
We found in one place we found a soil profile, and that was down in the South Woods. And probably the only reason that place had a soil profile was because it was a little wet, it was a little lower, probably couldn't farm as much there, couldn't build buildings there, and likely used it as grazing for the dairy herd when it was the House of Correction. And later it was used as kind of like a park, a mowed park, when the Army was here for picnics and things like that. And so it hadn't had quite the same amount of, turnover.
What does the original profile look like? Or what does the profile look like when it's disturbed? What is a disturbed profile?
It's just there's no layers.
What is it a certain color?
It's kind of a light colored clay sort of look, and it's just if you dug a hole there, you would go, nothing's going to grow here.
So those profiles were taken when you were first couple of years?
Yeah, we thought, that'd be cool. Nature centers, they do soil profiles. We'll do soil profiles. Well, no, I guess we won't, because we don't really have any.
That's changed now. Now we're kind of established.
It is starting to change, but it's changing slowly. There are many places on the property, if you dug a hole, all you would hit would be old foundations. There would still be nothing. And it's actually pretty interesting to look at aerial views, even today, a 2000, well, probably the most recent is 2010, that's available. If you know where to look, you can still see the outlines of the buildings today, because the vegetation is different there, and it shows up different on the aerial. So I don't know if you remember those kind of H-shaped barracks buildings that were in that one picture. You can still see that H on the land, because different things can grow where that building once was. You can still see the old roadways. You can still see those parking lots.
It's like a ghost image.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us more about the experience of doing all that research into uncovering the history.
That has been a work in progress that has come and gone over the years. A lot of it has been done on my own time because I'm interested in history, and someone will tell a story or hand you a piece of paper, or you'll be digging in an old file and read something and you say, well, that doesn't make sense. How does that fit into the story as I know it right now? How does that piece of information fit into the story? And sometimes it's been 10 years before that question has been answered. I think one of the biggest mysteries for me here has been that Lincoln Creek mystery of when we found those field notes and there was no Lincoln Creek. What do you mean there was no creek?
There's clearly a creek.
There is obvious. I mean, it was obvious that it had been, straightened at some point. That's what I was looking at from my perspective, is that probably there used to be this nice meandering stream, and probably in the 60s or 70s they decided they needed to straighten it to move water faster, because that was kind of the thinking at the time, and so that's why it's straight. But then, that was one of those mysteries that took years to solve. And one day I'm reading something for some other reason that I had just must have read over before, and it's like it was a drainage ditch. It was a drainage ditch that became a bigger drainage ditch. And then finally, because of other buildings probably in the city and the way water was running off, all of a sudden one day it's a creek. And then it has a name.
What's
just interesting.
What's the quality of the creek like now? Is it like
well,
polluted, or is it
it's stormwater runoff.
Stormwater runoff.
So yeah, after a storm, it often has that oily sheen that you would expect from. And I'm sure that the next time we have a big rain, it'll be bad because all of our gasoline and oil that is spilled on the streets is going to end up in that stream.
What is? Is it sustain life?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does. Actually, there have been times that we have found salmon in it.
Really?
Yeah, they get confused. They were probably trying to go to the Milwaukee River, but they took the wrong turn or whatever, and it came up Lincoln Creek.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something that happens to Lincoln Creek that happens to all urban creeks is that kind of flushing every time there's a big rain, and then there's a period of recovery after that flushing. Or like now with no flushing, there's just the algae buildup that really needs to be flushed. I'd say it's constantly changing, but it's not, because we haven't had rain for so long. It's not changed much in the last month.
Okay.
But it changes a lot. Over time.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about all the wonderful, exciting things that used to be here.
Yeah.
Not wonderful, but
well, interesting anyway.
Incredibly interesting. It's just it'd be great to have a storyline just in one continual sentence of all the previous uses and what it's evolved, and then finally become full circle. It was originally the farmland.
This is kind of the story that we're going to start to create. What you provided with us with your stories, from natural to industrial, this war machine to back to natural. How do you feel about that? What is this like? Is there this symbolic meaning to it?
Yeah, there
kind of touched
really,
on it last week.
Yeah, there really is.
I don't know if you wanted to kind of digress a little bit and talk about what that means to you as a person that's been here for 30 years or so. It's cool to us. It's kind of a tough question to ask, but
I guess it's been really fascinating to watch that change, just from what I've been able to see in almost 30 years, to go from more of a kind of an abandoned field or abandoned lot kind of look, to humans doing a lot of work to remove concrete, to remove asphalt, to cover up some things that could be covered and remove things that couldn't be, to plant natives, to try to control invasives. But at the same time, there's just this amazing healing thing going on that we have no control over. We can maybe think that we are molding and pushing the land in the direction that we think it should go to become more natural looking, but nature really is in charge here, in sending in seed sources and starting to build up a little bit of soil and covering up things on its own, of soil that was in the past had covered up building remnants, now starting to sink down and expose some of those building remnants, opening up holes where right now we're pretty sure that the threatened species, the Butler's garter snakes, are hibernating down in these old foundation ruins way down under the ground. That's not something that people could have ever come up with as a solution to trying to heal a piece of land. That's something that is just happening because nature's amazing. That healing power that it has to, that once we're all gone, after a few hundred years, things are going to look a whole lot better. That buildings are going to crumble, and it's going to. Yeah, I don't know. It has been very, very interesting to watch, to be able to watch that change. I think that I mentioned when I was talking to you before that I'm from a dairy farm, and I think farmers have that kind of a connection to land that most people never have the privilege to have. We might have a backyard, we might have a little garden, things like that, but they have a connection to their land that I think I've been able to continue. That it's something I started as a child on a farm, have been able to continue as a land manager in the middle of a city. That just watching the changes and feeling a part of the changes, and yet knowing that it's a very small part. But it's still been a great privilege. I think it's been an honor and a privilege to have been here that long and to see those changes.
That's great. There have been Thurston Woods residents that have mentioned, things about this park, and they have this as, an escape, or they can come here for a day and take a walk. Friends of Haven Woods was the group that pushed to,
right,
make it what it is today, and along with you.
Without them, it wouldn't be here. I mean, without that group of people, it would be the post office or the elderly housing or the Disney, or an incinerator, or all those. It would be something else. It would never have been this huge chunk of land in the middle of a city. It's just. It wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Could you lay out kind of like the timeline of when they started and?
Well, I would encourage you to talk to some of them directly and hear their story from their standpoint. I've known some of the people that were in that original group, and some of them have already passed on, but left this legacy behind. I think that there was a mix in that early group of very strong environmentalists who, they actually came from, Friends of Haven was sort of evolved from a group called Equal, which stood for something like environmental quality. It basically meant environmental quality for all. And it was actually kind of a subgroup of that group that formed Friends of Haven Woods. So some people came with that very strong environmental activism sort of thought process and being. And some people came to that group because they had worked here when it was in the military. And so they had that connection to this land that was their former work site. And some people came because, I know of at least a couple of people who came because their fathers worked here. Not too many mothers at the time, but mostly their fathers. And so they came from a lot of different perspectives to form that group, but I think had a common goal of saving it, making it, keeping it green space, letting it become, like you said, a refuge where people can just escape to. And there are places on the property where you can't hear the sirens. You can really forget that you are in a large city.
Of the city.
Yeah. It's big enough that you can do that. City parks are wonderful. They're close by people's homes. They provide places for children to play. But I think that for many people, this is wilderness. So that's something that a city park can't give you.
That's great.
That's absolutely absolutely wonderful. It's like, you know, we came here in this project and, you know, finding about communities and like how they experience this portion of Milwaukee is what we're focusing in on, and like for this to be here and like the story behind it is just a home run for us.
Yeah, the connections that this has with Berlin, which is the other story that we're, you know,
right.
There's this.
And I mean, a lot of the folks from Berryland served in the war.
Originally that's when it was constructed for veterans.
Yeah.
And
so there's that whole, you know, that whole military connection right off the bat. There's that whole connection with this land.
Yeah. I don't have any other questions. So anything else? I don't know if you could talk a little bit more about some of like the individual programs, or like, you know, the kids and kind of like the reuse of the site.
Okay.
You know, even after the nature center was constructed. Like I said before, like a typical day, even though days are typical. Examples of
the typical
the sponsored
class
events.
sessions that might go on. And
a good ending question for us.
Yeah. We offer a combination of kinds of programs. During the school year, schools can come here for a field trip with their teachers, and those programs increasingly have become programs that help them to meet their teaching standards. And so they tend to be a little bit more structured, although we try to spend almost all of that time outside. But they're more structured. We have certain things that we want to do with those students while they're here, and then the teachers will go back and build on that experience that they had here. During the summer, we kick back a little bit and relax with the kids, and are not quite as concerned about, you know, exactly what we do, and the standards are, you know, we don't have to worry about meeting standards for the daycare centers. They're here for a fun field trip, and so, you know, we'll go out and collect insects, or we'll go to the ponds and scoop with nets in the ponds, or look for animal signs, or, you know, taking hikes and things like that. That is what most of the staff that you see here, that the other naturalists, that is most of what their job is, to be the leaders on those school field trips and then summer field trips. And, you know, thrown in there are some scout programs and, you know, things like that. We also do go places. We go to schools, we go to libraries, we go to community festivals, we go to, we take the whole place on the road and go to State Fair. When State Fair comes, we have a little section there that's the children's nature play area. So,
we take the animals.
Yep.
Yeah. Examples of.
Yeah. We take the animals along with us, and set up a mini nature center at the fair in the DNR area.
Okay.
Another area of programming that we have is public programs, and we offer Saturday programs for like family hikes, what we call drop-in programs, where families can just come anytime on a Saturday and, you know, participate in activities here. And we usually try to put something out there that's going to say, now go outside, you know, like borrow a net. We set up some things about insects inside. Now borrow a net and take it outside and see what you can catch. We do preschool story times. I get to do those. One of my favorite parts of my job is doing preschool story times, because I think preschoolers are just great. and then at the same time, during the summer, I do preschool story times year round. During the summer, we offer a program called Junior Rangers for a little bit older kids, but it's the same time. Those are some of the, you know, public kind of programs. We also do some programs for adults. We just had a bat hike last week, where people took a Anabat detector out and tried to track down the bats on the property with a kind of a special listening devices that picks up their calls. There's, I think, a geocaching program for adults later this month, and butterfly walks, and things that in the spring bird migratory hikes and stuff like that. And another part of the education program is just some small exhibits and things that you might have seen in the lobby. Whether it be what bird migrants are coming through or what butterflies that are outside right now. You can, to kind of help people to know what to look for and to see. And those are more, we kind of, nature centers sort of divide their programming into personal and non-personal. And the personal is the programming, where we're in direct contact with people. And the non-personal are, things like species lists. So if somebody comes in and they have a question about birds, you can say, well, here's the birds that have been seen here. Or like the geocaching adventure that, here's a book. Would you like to borrow a GPS unit? Go out and have fun for a few hours and bring it back. So those things are non-personal. I mean, we, obviously a person put them together, but they don't need us. It's kind of like an invitation. Here, take this, go explore on your own, learn something about nature, or this will help answer your question, kind of thing. So those are the kinds of programming. Oh, and then we have the garden program, which I think sets us off a little bit unique from other nature centers in that we have 3 different gardens here. There's the community gardens, which people can rent and grow their own vegetables. There's the heritage gardens, which Southeast Wisconsin Master Gardeners plant and maintain, which demonstrate European American, Asian, Latin American, African American, and Native American gardening, the kinds of plants and the ways that those plants might have, or still are, but looking back at mainly those different heritages coming to America, and what plants did they bring with them, and how did they grow them. And then the kids' garden, where kids come throughout the summer, the same group of kids come and have a garden plot that they tend and harvest from and eat from. So those are, I think, a cool part of a program.
Absolutely.
To connect people to nature through food.
And their ethnic background too. I mean, it's
yeah.
It's really interesting.
So I think that covers all the the major types of programming stuff that we do.
Well, this is great. I hope you probably have to get back to work.
Probably now I got to get to work.
Yeah. Sorry, longer than probably anticipated.
You guys are fun to talk to. I mean,
this
you're
is
just
so helpful.
eagerly listening to everything I say. So it's kind of a
Go ahead.
a float for me, but okay.
And if we were being quiet, it was just because
we don't want to listen to us later.
We don't want our voices.
Nobody
on
wants
this,
to listen to our voices.
But
yeah.
Yes, very eager.
This has been
oh, cool! Give me a captive audience. I like this.
Well, that's good.
Actually, something like this is actually kind of hard for me because I'm basically a shy person, but I'm also passionate about,
And that's really coming through. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So it kind of like I have to overcome the not really liking to talk that much to share the story. It's a struggle, but
a lot of good stories.
It's been fun.
Yeah. I'm happy you're sharing with us.
I really wish you guys well in your project.
Well, thank you very much.
I'm really
Beth.
looking forward to seeing the end products and.
We'll let you
July
know when it's
20th. Is the big unveiling.
I think Graham sent me a list of dates that you had for public things, and I'm pretty sure that was on there. Yeah. So I have no idea.
Yep. So
where
it's
I
still
am
July.
Yeah.
And of course we can get the website and the documentary to you, and
I did actually. I went to your like
Did you check out the Picture in Milwaukee
Yeah,
website?
Picture
Did you
in
see our
Milwaukee
blogging?
one.
We've been doing some blogging and posting photographs. And
I didn't see
progress.
anything from. I don't think I saw anything from. But it was last week after we talked that I
Okay. It might
that
be
I went
updated
there,
now.
and I saw a couple of blogs from other people, but I didn't recognize any of
Yeah.
your names yet.
Yeah, we'll have some photos of our day-to-day actions and
Okay.
stuff like that, so you can see our end of
Thanks.
what we're doing. Hey, thanks.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Beth. Thanks for all your help.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So,
Good luck.
We'll be in touch. We'll,
Okay,
we'll
yeah,
chat.
yeah, stay in touch. Let me know if you find out you got any holes missing.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.